All praise to the Most High, Ahia, and to his son, YASHARAHLA. This is Brother Holly here with the first Spirit of Truth broadcast here on the Ahia House channel, as well as the House of Ahia channel on this set-apart Sabbath day. First and foremost, as always, I'd like to give all praise, glory, and honor to the great I Am, he who is, was, and is to come, the Almighty One, Halal, and to his son, Yasha, who gave himself for us that we might have had life, and that life is in him, Halal. Now, in this first broadcast, we're going to have some public service announcements about the upcoming Day of Atonement. We're going to discuss, with some detail, the current events that are just happening today. Children, I couldn't be more excited. First and foremost, I want to give a high praise for this time that we're in. We're in a glorious time, children. We're seeing the captivity being gathered. We're seeing the heathens being run out of the land. We're seeing it all before our eyes, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Hallelujah. We'll be reading from the Learn Paleo Hebrew Torah, Lashwan Kodash, Holy Tongue, Yeshaya, Ahia Bible Scriptures. And if you do not have this resource, the Ahia Yeshaya King James Version Bible Apocrypha Enoch Jasher and Jubilees KJV, I suggest you get that one as well. For we use that one quite a bit here in the Highest House and House for High, in our broadcast and in our telecast we send out to you, children. As you may know, for those of you who follow the 364 calendar of Jubilees, that the Day of Atonement is coming up on starts sundown the 9th of October to sundown the 10th of October. So that's a slow Tuesday for most of you. So I pray that the Most High will give you favor with your employees, that you'll be able to take that time away from them. That's a day of fasting and prayer. And I'm going to attempt on the Day of Atonement to have a live broadcast, first one in the history of these channels, a live broadcast. It'll probably be on the House of Ahia channel, live broadcast on the Day of Atonement, and we'll be reading prayers from the Apostle Saul, whom we all trust, prayers that the Messiah prayed, prayers that Daniel prayed, Ezra prayed, Hezekiah prayed, the works. We're just going to be reading the prayers of repentance found in the scriptures. We're going to be reading from Job's prayers of repentance. We're going to be reading prayers of repentance found in the scriptures. We're going to be fasting as the scriptures command on that day to afflict our souls with fasting. And we're going to be reading from the Torah that the prohibitions against not keeping the Day of Atonement holy, most holy. That's a day if it's one day a year, you better not break that Sabbath. I'm just here to help. Most High has set that day apart from all other days. You don't want to break that Sabbath at all. So if at all possible, even if you have to be off from work without pay, take it off. Even if it's without pay. And may the Most High bless you as you obey him. As you can see that if you follow his word and you obey his spirit, the leading of his spirit, you will indeed be blessed. Not only financially and materially, but also in your spirit and in your walk with him. Hallelujah. Let's turn to the book of Jeremiah. And while you're getting to Jeremiah chapter 30. And while you're turning there, as most of you woke up today too, there has been just breaking loose, if you will, in the land of is not real. We don't call that land, and here we go. Here go the cyber attacks. Just mention their name. The cyber attacks start happening. As you know, the land that is currently being occupied by the Jewish state they're not the people of the book, and the events that are going on right now inside that landmass is indicative that the inhabitants thereof are not the people of the book. And we're going to read some of the promises from the scriptures, from the prophets, that when the true children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the true YASHARAHLA, shall return into the land, be gathered by Ahia, and return into the land, that there be a peace and none make them afraid. Wow. And the Most High is going to make a full end of the nations that held them in captivity. So that begs the question, if they were returned to the land in 1948 by UN resolution, where do you find in recorded history that the nation that held them, the last nation that held them in captivity, if they are truly the people of the book, which would be the nation of Germany, where do you find their utter destruction? Because it says, we're going to read it, that he'll make a full end of the nation that held you in captivity. So if they are truly the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, if they're the true descendants, if they are the true chosen, then we should have seen the nation of Germany wiped off the face of the earth, never to return. But that didn't happen now, did it? Didn't happen in 48, didn't happen in 88, didn't happen in 2018, 2008. It's still not happening. I have a good report that the Germans are just as happy as a clam, even to this day. More indicative of someone's lying, and we know who it's not. It's not the spirit of Ahia, because the spirit of Ahia that's inspired these words that we're about to read today. Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 1. Let's go. It says, the word that came to Jeremiah from Ahia, saying, this is important, you get this. This is the word that came to Jeremiah from Ahia, saying, thus speaketh Ahia, Ahia of YASHARAHLA, saying, write thee all the words that I have spoken unto thee in a book where you highlight. And we got our book right here. For lo, the days come, saith Ahia, that I will bring again the captivity of my people YASHARAHLA and Judah, saith Ahia, and I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it where you highlight. He's not only gathering the 10th northern kingdom, but he's going to gather the two tribes of the southern kingdom. All YASHARAHLA is going to be gathered at that time. He's going to gather together at the same time the whole household of Jacob. Keep reading. Verse 4. And these are the words Ahia spake concerning YASHARAHLA and concerning Judah. But thus saith Ahia, we have heard a voice of trembling and of fear, and not of peace. Highlight. Ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned unto paleness. Alas, for that day is great. So is none like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble. But he shall be saved out of it. Will you highlight? So when we're in our captive state, when we're outside of our land, when we're still under the thumb and jurisdiction of these heathen nations, that's the time of Jacob's trouble. The time of Jacob's trouble is now, but we're going to be saved out of it. How is Ahia going to save the children of Jacob out of this time of trouble? Let's read it again. Verse 7, Jeremiah 30 and 7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. For it shall come to pass in that day, saith Ahia of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. All praises. But they shall serve Ahia their Elohim, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them. Will you highlight? He that was meant to sit on David's throne will reign over us in that day. See, this hasn't happened yet. The ingathering hasn't happened yet. It is at the door. Let me help you, children. According to Deuteronomy chapter 30, when we return to Ahia, he's going to return unto us. And he will gather us from the four corners of the earth. From wherever we've been scattered, he's going to gather us and put us back in our own land. I'll keep reading. Jeremiah 30 and 8 again. For it shall come to pass in that day, saith Ahia of hosts, that I will break his yokes off of thy neck, and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. But they that serve Ahia their Elohim, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them. Therefore fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, saith Ahia, neither be dismayed, O YASHARAHLA. For lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity, and Jacob shall return, and shall be in rest, and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. Will you highlight? So when the children of Jacob are regathered and put back in the land, they will have peace, they will be in quietness, and none make them afraid. I see them heathens running for their life today. I see these heathen running the bomb shelters today. I see those liars who say they are Jews and are not. Cities are burning today. So how are they the people of the Most High? How are they the children of Jacob? How are they the chosen seed? How are they Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise? If 1948 was the gathering of them, how is it then that in 2023 they are in turmoil? How? I'll read it again. Jeremiah chapter 30 verse 10, therefore fear thou not, O my servant Jacob. If you're Jacob, listen up. Listen up, make a wish foundation, current inhabitants of the land of Canaan. Listen up. You're being told, if you're Jacob, fear not. Therefore fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, saith Ahiah. Neither be dismayed, O YASHARAHLA. If you're YASHARAHLA, listen up. For lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity. And Jacob shall return, and shall be in rest, and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. For I am with thee, saith Ahiah, to save thee. Though I make a full end of all nations, whether I have scattered thee, yet will I not make a full end of thee, but I will correct thee in measure, and will not leave you altogether unpunished. We highlight. So here, that promise right here. He gonna make a full, he gonna break the yoke off the neck. Strangers shall no more serve themselves of you. You'll be from underneath their jurisdiction, under his jurisdiction, and under his protection. He'll make sure you're afraid, you're unafraid, and none are going to disrupt your peace. There ain't no peace for you. You've been at war almost every day since you got there. Been there 75 years, you ain't had a day of peace yet. 75 years, not one day of peace. Not one day one of them Canaanites got stirred up, throw a rock at you. You're not the people of the book. Hear me, Constantine Christians. They're not the people. How could they be? And this prophecy be so? Answer that question in the comment section, if you will. How can they be the current inhabitants, the Jewish state? How can they be the chosen people of Ahiah and still this prophecy be true? Because it says right here, when they get back in there, none make them afraid. Let's get a second witness. You know how we roll here at the Highest House and House for High. Out of the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let every word be established. Turn to Jeremiah chapter 46. Jeremiah 46, let's start reading in verse 25. Jeremiah 46 and 25. Ahiah of hosts, the Alahiah of YASHARAHLA, saith, behold, I will punish the multitude of No, and Pharaoh, and Egypt, and their deities, and their kings, even Pharaoh, and all them that trust in him. And I will deliver them into the hand of those that seek their lives, into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and into the hand of his servants, and afterwards it shall be inhabited as in the days of old, saith Ahiah. But fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, and be not dismayed, O YASHARAHLA, for behold, I will save thee from afar off, and thy seed from the land of their captivity. And Jacob shall return and be in rest and at ease, and none shall make him afraid. So Ahiah repeating himself through Jeremiah. But we're going to get Ezekiel's words on this too in a moment. Ahiah saying the same thing through Jeremiah again. Jeremiah 46 and 27. But fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, and be not dismayed, O YASHARAHLA, for behold, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity. And Jacob shall return and be at rest and at ease, and none shall make him afraid. Fear thou not, O Jacob, my servant, saith Ahiah, verse 28, for I am with thee, for I will make a full end of all nations, whether I have driven thee. But I will not make a full end of thee, but correct thee in measure and will not leave you wholly unpunished. Where you highlight. There's your second witness. But we just get a third. Let's go to Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 34. Let's start reading at verse 20. Ezekiel 34 and 20 says, Therefore thus saith the sovereign high unto them, Behold, even I will judge between the fat cattle and the lean cattle. Because you have thrust with side and with shoulder, and pushed all the disease with your horns, till that ye have scattered them abroad. Therefore will I save my flock, and they shall no more be a prey. But I will judge between cattle and cattle, and I will set up one shepherd over them, and he shall feed them, even my servant David. We highlight the same servant David that's going to be over them when they return and go into the land. Here, Ahiah is calling the people of YASHARAHLA his sheep. Ezekiel 34:23, and I will set up one shepherd over them, and he shall feed them, even my servant David. He shall feed them, and he shall be their shepherd, and I, Ahiah, will be their Alahiah, and my servant David a prince among them. I, Ahiah, have spoken it, and I will make with them a covenant of peace, and will cause the evil beasts to cease out of the land, and they shall dwell safely in the wilderness, and sleep in the woods. And I will make them and the places around about my hill a blessing, and I will cause the showers to come down on his season, and there shall be showers of blessing. That ain't what they having today. They having showers of rockets today. So if you're the people of the book, if you're truly Jacob's offspring, if you're truly 12 tribe, you ain't getting showers of blessing, which a higher promise. You're getting showers of rockets. I'll read it again, Ezekiel 34:26. And I will make them and the places round about my hill a blessing, and I will cause the showers to come down in his season, and there shall be showers of blessing, and the tree of the field shall yield her fruit, and the earth shall yield her increase, and they shall be safe in their land, and shall know that I am Ahiah, when I have broken the bands of their yoke, and delivered them out of the hand of those that serve themselves of them. It says right here, you should be safe in your land. They ain't safe today. If you're truly the children of Jacob, you're not safe today. So either Ahiah doesn't have power to keep you safe if you're his people, or you're lying about being his people. It ain't but two choices. Let's keep reading. And we know what the answer is now, don't we, here at Ahiah's house and House of YASHARAHLA? That they're liars. Let's keep reading. Verse 28, and they shall no more be a prey to the heathen, neither shall the beasts of the land devour them, but they shall dwell safely, and none make them afraid. Here it is again. And I will raise up to them a plant of renown, and they shall be no more consumed with hunger in the land, neither bear the shame of the heathen any more. Thus shall they know that I, their Alahiah, am with them, and that they are even the house of YASHARAHLA are my people, saith the sovereign Ahiah. And ye, my flock, the flock of my pasture, are men, and I am your Alahiah, saith the sovereign Ahiah. We highlight. That's Ezekiel 34:22 through 31. We highlight. That's your third witness. That when the people, the children of Jacob, return to the land, they'll have peace and none make them afraid. They won't be running for bomb shelters. Just 2 weeks ago now, roughly, I called a certain TV ministry that is very Jewish centric, Jewish focused. See it, red. Roth is Yiddish for red. I called Sid Red Ministries. I asked them a question because they were at a fundraiser to build some bomb shelters for the people in the Jewish state. I asked them a question. I said, "Why do you need bomb shelters if you're the chosen seed returning to the land?" For the prophecies say, and we just read them in Jeremiah and Ezekiel, that when you return to the land, none will make you afraid. Can you please explain this inconsistency? Crickets. I heard a word since. Gave him my number. Crickets. We can do nothing against the truth. We can only do something for the truth. We read the truth today. That Ahia will cause for the return of his people. He will cause the return of his people. He will watch over his people for good. He will ensure that they be at peace and none make them afraid. He will break the yoke of the heathen off our necks. And that yoke is being broken off even to this day. Deuteronomy chapter 30, I told you a few weeks ago, that should be mandatory reading at least once a week with your family. Because Deuteronomy chapter 30 talks about when we return to Ahia, how he's going to return unto us, and he's going to gather us from no matter where we are. He's going to gather us and put us back in our own land. And we just read what's going to happen when he regathers the house of YASHARAHLA, when he regathers the house of Judah. And we're all put back together into one house, one people, back in the land. The two nations become one in Ezekiel 37. When the two sticks are grafted together. Romans chapter 11. When the two sticks are grafted together. When Ephraim and Judah are back together. And the animosity between the two houses is done away with. We were oppressed together. We're going to be saved together. All praises. When that happens, we're going to dwell in the land. And none will make us afraid. Oh, those people in the land, they're afraid today. And in the second broadcast, we're going to see that what's going on right now, this very day, in the land of Canaan, is in line with the scriptures. And I'll just give you one hint. The hornet has been released. All praise to the Most High, Ahia, and to his son, Yahayasha, Halal Hayat.